a podcast where we talk about dating relationships on college campuses.
Oh, I'm your host, one of your hosts, Ella.
I'm Marissa.
I'm Layla.
I'm Rachel.
And today we'll be talking about hookup culture and situationships on college campuses.
Yes!
Oh, before we get started though, explaining this, we ordered Wingstop, and I got 10 pieces of garlic parmesan wings and voodoo fries.
I have a 10-piece Hawaiian classic wings with regular fries.
I got 20 pieces.
And I got 4 lemon pepper and 4 hot honey rub.
Well, to kick it off, so has anyone been in a hookup? I'm just kidding. Give that look. You want to talk, Ella?
Okay. So, a guy I met on a dating app. It was pretty, I guess, when we first met, it wasn't really clear what, was gonna come out from what we were, planning on doing. I didn't know if it was gonna be, a relationship thing or a hookup thing or whatever, but for me, I'm really open to anything. So, when we first met, he told me that he was like, I'm not looking for anything long-term, which was which was the opposite of what it said on his dating profile. So I kind of went into it thinking that it might have turned into something else that wasn't a hookup thing, but he just wanted it to be purely no strings attached, nothing serious type of thing. So which was something I was okay with. I just didn't know it going into the first date. So yeah, that was kind of that. We've talked about our boundaries, what we expect from it, so it was pretty clear cut. Yeah.
So, based off of that, how would you define what a hookup is?
Yeah, I would define a hookup as sexual relationship with no emotional attachment or commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Munching. What factors do you guys think influence students to engage in hookups rather than pursue more traditional forms of dating?
I think when I first think of it, I think of it as just sexual pleasure, but something that I read in an article said otherwise. There's a lot of factors aimed at what the motivations of hookups are. I think that when you first think of it, it's something that's pretty stigmatized, and I think a lot of people think it's just a part of the college campus experience. But in the article that I read, that while pleasure is the most common motivator, other factors like romantic aspirations, substance use, and the pursuit of the college experiences play significant roles in trying to hook up with someone, I guess. And I think it pretty much highlights how complex hookups are, rather than people think of it as pretty clear cut, in my opinion.
I mean, I think even in addition to that, in addition to having a college experience, I think one of the articles mentioned trying to fit in with people. So just having that peer pressure of people around you also engaging in hookup culture can definitely influence someone to also do the same.
I know people that I was interviewing one of my friends. He was mentioning it when I interviewed him. When he came to campus, he was already in a long-term relationship with his boyfriend. And he was saying that a lot of people would give him crap because he wasn't engaging in hookup culture because that was just the norm or expectation for him, which is so odd, I think, because I don't know. Something different than high school, because I feel that's just not what was expected in high school, at least where I'm from. So having to shift into that during college was kind of different. I was gonna ask, another question I had was, I feel in today's society, I feel there's been more open talk about sex and sexuality. Do you think people now are more open to the idea of hooking up more and casually hooking up than in the past, and if so, why?
I think it's definitely dependent on environment. On college campuses, for example, maybe even here, I don't know much about what people think here, but I think it's generally accepted as something that just happens as part of the college experience and exploring your own sexuality and your desires, whatever, as you move through your years. But I don't know, when I'm at home, like, that environment is totally different.
Where's home
The
for you?
culture, literally Millbrae.
Millbrae.
Yeah. But just that traditional Asian culture of, like,
that's
it's
bad.
bad. Like, it's built on religious beliefs anyway. So I think it's very dependent.
I think comparing it to like our parents' generation anyway, I feel like my parents immigrated here and like their ideals definitely stem from like the ideals they've held from like back home, and those are still very conservative views in terms of like sex and hookups and just relationships in general. Very, very like wait till marriage, or like you shouldn't be like throwing yourself at all these people, and everything that has to do with like sex in general is just frowned upon, like you said. Like I feel like it's very, that's how I grew up anyway, like with my family. So it's interesting to see the shift of like our generation's thinking from like our parents' generation's thinking, because everything was like rooted in, oh, I'm gonna get married to this person, but now it's like, oh, it's like non-commitment, like I just want to kind of see my playing field and, you know, live my quote-unquote college experience.
And I feel like, totally agree. And I feel like there's no chance of, like, having them become more open-minded because it's such a taboo topic. At least, like, my household, I feel like all Asian households. Like, you just don't talk about, like, relationships like that or, like, sex. You know what I'm saying? So there's no chance for them to evolve and become more open-minded about it. So I feel like we're just, like, stuck. You're just stuck with it, and you got to deal with it. But, yeah, no. I think going back to what you were saying before, this idea of, like, perception of hookup is different for men and women. I read it in an article. They were talking about the perceptions of specifically, like, women about hookup culture. They found that while men and women engage in hookup culture the same, women just have to be more secretive about it because it's kind of this notion where, like, men will gain reputation from, like, hooking up with more people, specifically people that are more attractive to them, while women, the reputation, like, are damaged. I think another finding from it that I thought was interesting is that while people are becoming more endorsing about, like, talking about sexuality, it doesn't mean that they're not going to police women's sexuality, which I thought was really interesting. I can see it. I feel like people are talking about it more, but I feel like there's always a lingering stigmatization of, like, hooking up specifically on women. And, like, I just feel like it's because it's so rooted deeply into our culture through, like, our media, that it's going to stay lingering no matter how much we talk about it.
Yeah, and one of the other findings mentioned that women actually experience more negative affect after engaging in a hookup, and that makes me wonder if that's connected to how much they're slut-shamed for engaging in hookups and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, maybe there's a connection. I don't know what you guys think.
No, probably. But, like, how do we change that? We talk about it more?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
That's how I've been, like, I don't tell my parents, like, everything, but when it comes to, like, relationships in general, I, like, sneak in, like, little things. Like, I'll be like, oh, like, I was, like, talking to this guy, or, like, oh, I met this girl, like, the other day, I think he's really cute, and I'll, like, gauge the reactions, and kind of, like, if they react in a certain way, I'll kind of, like, keep pushing it, kind of, just, like, to sink in, like, these things are okay to talk about all the time, and, like, I want to be open with you guys, so, like, try and keep an open mind so that, like, we both can, like, become closer as, like, parent, like, child relationships, so that we could talk about these things together and, like, have, like, discussions where we can both benefit and become closer, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you're so good. I totally just, like, stop.
Yeah, right?
I just, like, don't even try
I
anymore. I've accepted it. But that's okay. Are you guys in relationships?
Nah.
Do we have stories about that? That you want to discuss?
Oh, relationships. Maybe I'll talk about my Hinge date that I had.
LOL. Nothing.
Yeah, so I went on this date with this girl that goes to USF.
LOL.
I don't even think I told you this, Rachel, but like,
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh,
it's
disclosure.
nothing crazy. It's just, it's so embarrassing. It was like at the end when I dropped her off, we were saying goodbye, and then I guess she was just like really awkward or something, so she fist bumped me and then she left.
Oh,
I was like,
that's
oh,
crazy.
That hurt a lot.
No hug. I'm dead. Not.
Did you guys talk after?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, unfortunately, it's
yeah.
crazy.
Do we know this person?
You do.
I do.
Oh, that's
The
crazy.
fist bump is crazy. I'm gonna try fist bumping my boyfriend. That's so
My next
crazy.
date.
We gotta talk about this later. Any names?
I'm dead.
What about you, Rachel? If you want to disclose.
This one guy that I was dating last semester, he's a year younger. First mistake. That was the first time. But yeah, we were just, I think we moved pretty fast, but essentially what happened is that like 3 months in, he says, oh, I realized that I wasn't ready after all for a relationship.
3 months in?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I was like, girl, you waste 3 months of my time.
Really?
I literally could have been doing something better.
That's
But hey.
insane. And you know what? That all could have been fixed with communication.
Yeah, and you know what he
wow.
said at the end? We can still be friends, right?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You're like, no?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So speaking of communication, situationships.
That's so good. A good segue.
Yeah.
How do we define them? Has anyone been in one? Would love to hear all the stories.
What is a situationship?
That's the
Really
really
confusing.
I've never been in one. Thankfully, I'm like really thankful for that. I would define it as you have romantic emotions for someone who hopefully also has romantic emotions for you, or to an extent there are romantic emotions, maybe not the same level, and you guys kind of do the same, like similar things that like people who are dating are doing, but there's no label to it. But from my interviews, what was interesting is based off two different people. One defines it that sex is a part of it, and one defines it that sex isn't a part of it. So I thought that was really interesting.
Oh my gosh, going back to that, sorry, I'm like going back to hookups, but I was also interviewing people and like they could not for the life of them agree what a hookup is. I feel like it's just so like undefined. Like again, like some of my friends, they mentioned like, oh, it's just like making out, and then another friend was like, no, like there's like, you know, like sex is happening. So like I just feel like with situationships too, I feel like everyone has a different definition. What do you guys think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just doing all the things you would in a relationship, but you don't have a label for it.
I mean, and then the physical part, I feel it could include it too. It doesn't have to be a situationship, but I don't think having that physical part of it like disqualifies it from being a situationship. It's just that the lines are very blurred. There's just no official label, but you're still emotionally attached.
One of the articles I read defines situationships as relationship with someone in which there's a romantic connection, often involving time spent together, physical and sexual activity, but no clarity, label, or commitment. So I think that fits everyone's pretty much definition. But I've never been in one. I do know someone that has been in one. I feel like you know who I'm talking about.
I also know who you're talking about.
Possibly.
No names.
She's on this campus.
Oh wait!
We can tell about someone else. That's a good one too.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, well,
and you know what? They're kind of connected. Okay, so
Are they? I'm trying. Okay,
kind
well,
of
just,
sorta.
okay, just continue though.
Oh,
Just,
they are connected for sure. Okay, so I'll go with mine. 'Cause
Okay.
that's how chronologically it works.
Okay.
So basically, she was in a situationship with someone she met in the club. Yeah, in the
First
same
red
club.
flag.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they met. Actually, I do know how they met. It's gonna give away the club. It's okay. She went up. Kasama Hunt. Anyways, they were like big show, like PCN show. They met through that. And so
Oh, I thought you meant like an uns club.
I thought that's what I thought.
Student org club.
Oh,
They met in the
right.
same club, and
LOL.
then they kind of like started talking, and they quickly like he was like, "This is strictly just like hooking up. Like I don't want any like commitment, no dating."
Oh, I
And
know what
she
it is.
goes, "Okay, that's fine." And
Sorry.
so they start hooking up casually, like almost like every other day, every week. But then they start going on dates together. They're like going on walks on the beach. They're like getting food together. They're like doing all these things. And so during this time, she's slowly telling me that like, I really like this guy. Like, I really want something to happen. Like, what do I do? I'm a comms major, so I go, communication's key, girl. Like, you gotta tell him. And, like, you need to make that clear with him so that you're not being led on by him. And that, like, you know, it's at least mutual. She goes, I know. Never talks to him. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm over it. And so many weeks or, like, a month goes by of her just, like, developing feelings over him. And then just out of the blue, he ghosts her. And he's like, I don't, like, nothing. Like, she, like, asked to hang out, obviously to hook up and hang out. And he just never responds again. Mind you, he's still on campus. Like, he hasn't graduated yet. During the time. And so, yeah. And so she was, like, heartbroken. Like, she was, like, going through it for a couple months. And so, like, everyone around her had to, like, pick her up. But that was the one situationship that I know of connected to yours.
I won't go into details, but from what I heard,
Wait, you have to say how they're connected.
do I? I feel that's gonna give it away.
No shot.
Okay, so this person,
Because I'm on roster.
this person I'm talking about had a situationship with the person that they're talking about. But I'm not talking about
Wait, the
their
girl or the guy?
The girl.
The girl.
Whoa.
But I
Yeah.
won't talk about their situationship.
No.
I'll talk about a different
Family?
situationship.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I'll talk about a different situationship that this person was in. I won't talk about the details, but I'll tell you that communication was definitely not key in this
Absent.
relationship.
Just not there.
Boundaries were made, boundaries were crossed.
Oh.
So it blurred the lines even more than, like, you could even imagine. The person that this person was talking, I'm not gonna even do, okay, whatever, was talking to, she just didn't communicate her feelings and her boundaries, or when she did, she would do the opposite of what she was saying. And after like a whole few months of him really, like, again, falling hard for her, she decides to get into a relationship with a different guy.
After months of her saying, like, oh, I don't want a relationship. Yeah.
And he was going through it for a bit. So I think that just goes to show how complicated situationships are and how emotionally taxing they can be for people.
Do you guys have any stories?
I love that.
I personally don't know any, because I don't know, I feel most people I know, they're just stuck in talking,
As they
or
should.
yeah, right, better than
Yeah.
going full out
Right.
situationship,
Okay.
or just relationship. I mean, I don't know, should situationships even be a thing? Like, it's just so
Me personally,
confusing.
I think not.
Yeah, tell them
Our circle is very much single.
Stupidly
Yes.
single.
Stupidly single is crazy. I'm done.
That's crazy.
Please give them some prospects.
I'm done.
Please.
Taking applications now.
I personally would never. I know a lot of the people we interview, a lot of them are saying that. For example, we asked if they would rather be in a casual hookup or a situationship, and many of them say casual hookup because, you know, I agree. If I'm putting that much effort into someone, like, you best believe that we're gonna be dating. No way I'm gonna do it and, like, it's a dead end. Like, I just feel like there's no value to, like, what you're getting. At least in my opinion. Like, if I just put that much effort, I would expect to be, like, something back.
Yeah, and also in a hookup, there's not much emotional attachment or investment. So even if it ends up just stopping, you don't have to deal with all the repercussions. And I don't know, situationships, I've heard that those breakups, I guess, can feel like an actual breakup. Mm-hmm. So You can avoid that all with a hookup.
You're right.
What's dangerous, though, sorry to cut
No,
you
no,
off,
please.
is when those hookups turn into situationships. Or when one of them...
How does that
hookups
happen?
turn- I think if, like, someone I interviewed said some people have a really strong, like, body-mind connection, like, emotional body connection. So that means, like, what you do, like, with your body correlates, like, strongly emotionally
Yeah.
to you. And, like, some people can hook up with, like, no feelings. Some people have to have feelings to hook up with, or to have sex with someone, and, like, there's, like, a bunch of those those combinations that can happen. So I think that if you don't know yourself well enough to know that you have a strong connection between those things, that can happen even without you, like, not trying to.
You'll catch feelings.
You'll catch feelings!
Oh.
Which could happen, and that's dangerous. Or, like, because, like, if it's just a hookup, like, you're not, like, going on a date or anything. So that's, like, the only reason I could tell that you would be, like, why you would develop feelings for someone you're hooking up with. Unless you're, like, going out on dates and stuff. But that is, I feel like that's not a hookup anymore, in my opinion.
Oh,
But-
that reminds me. I have a friend who used to have be friends with benefits with someone, so they were hooking up, and now they're a year together in a relationship.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. She was just like, oh yeah, I just wanted to have fun. I was exploring hooking up, and then they ended up catching feelings for each other
At
because
the same time?
Yeah, isn't
Wow,
that so
that's
crazy?
hilarious.
So no situationship. That
Just
was
straight
avoided.
up.
Yeah, they just
Wow.
got together. They're over a year together now, which is good for them.
Congratulations.
I also heard someone who was the same thing. They were hooking up at first, and now I think they're together over 2 years.
That's crazy.
Whoa, but they did just start hooking up, but they caught feelings, which is really...
See, I feel like it could be successful. It just, you need to have that really, really slim chance that you guys fall for each other at the same time and then are willing to kind of move forward. Because if it's one-sided, whoa, that's tough. Yeah, like, I don't know what you would do. Would you guys rather be in a situationship or a casual hookup?
Hookup.
For sure.
For sure.
Agreed.
Someone I interviewed, though, really interesting enough, I gotta, like, pull up, actually, the notes, because it's, like,
They said situationship.
They said...
There were a few people,
They said situationship because they said that there might be a possibility of it leading into a real relationship, which
No.
is
You willing to take that
dangerous.
risk?
That's
Oh
what I'm
my
saying. Or they think, like,
No.
the chase, or, like,
No, the
what
persistence
I think
never
we call
works, girl.
of a ludic, maybe
It
like a
never
little ludic
works.
lifestyle. You just enjoy
I
the
can't
chase.
ludic lifestyle.
Maybe you enjoy the chase a little more.
Was
Maybe
even
not the
worth
action.
it at that point?
I think it is depending on the person. Because, like, maybe some people can just jump from situation to situationship without that, like, emotional attachment. Or I guess maybe it's more for, like, their, like,
Some people do
player
love
type
the
of thing. They love the
chase.
chase.
I do know people that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
So, like, maybe that, for some people, that could be a thing that they'd rather be.
I personally am not about it. I'm too emotional. I'm a
Yeah.
Pisces, so I would just like freak out the entire time. I personally can't, but I could see why people like it. Circling back, you did mention it, or maybe it was Rachel, about like breaking up from a situationship. I think it's like really weird because like there is emotional connection, but you're not like officially together. So do you think there should be an official breakup that's like deserved? Like we sit
it's
down and we
done.
talk about this, like we done. But like you're not really together, so like do you really need to do that?
I think for the person who's more emotionally invested, they would think that, but for the person on the opposite end, like spectrum, they wouldn't.
That's
so it
fair.
depends.
So it depends.
Right. Like, ideally,
There should be.
communication, right? But what happens in real life does not reflect that. But also, I think breakups from situationships are hard because there's no label. You go around telling people, like, oh, why are you so sad? I broke up with, well...
Exactly.
Like, they weren't your boyfriend or your girlfriend. They were just there. Like,
Yeah.
what do you say?
I don't know. If it was me and, like, I was breaking up with someone I was in a situationship, I'd feel embarrassed. Like, why am I doing that? What the heck?
Like you're the one
But it's
breaking up
like-
with them.
Yeah, like, and, like, they don't see us as a situationship. I feel like I'd be embarrassed after the fact, but then I feel like it'd be necessary to, like, move on, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It
True.
depends.
I feel like it's like a you can't ghost them type of situation. You guys have been like through so much together. I feel like it's just like a little weird if it's just like a ghosting situation. Again, comms. I think everyone should just talk about it, you know, so you guys can just move on equally. But it is weird because you guys aren't together. So I don't think it's like a expectation that everyone should have going into it.
Side question. I am curious. Has anyone ghosted anyone before?
I have.
Aww. Do tell if you want.
Spill?
Okay.
I
This is
know.
really, you know.
I know.
Freshman year. I don't know if I'd call this dating, but we went on multiple I guess we're dating for a little bit. I don't know. That's also another question. Like, what do you count as, like, dating? Or, like, well, how many dates does it take before you're dating? That's a side question. But we went on a few dates. And then, I don't know. Okay, this is on my side. Kind of just found it a little boring, you know? I just wasn't really feeling it. Right? And after, like, I would say 4th or 5th date, we didn't, like, make plans to, like, see each other again. And then he, like, Snapchatted me, and then I left him on read, or opened, and that was the end of that. Yeah.
Was he like asking you a question? Was it like a...
It was definitely, like, something that I probably should have responded to.
Oh, that's real.
Don't recommend doing that. I probably should have given him a little closure. I do regret that. So, that.
See, I'm wondering, like, after you ghost someone and you see them in person, like, do you say hi? What do you do in that
Okay,
situation?
so me personally, he didn't go to this school. He was East Bay and up there, and so I didn't. If I saw him in person,
Did you say hi? That's weird.
I think I'd ignore him. Like, to be like being so free, I'd be like, on my merry way. TBH, that could not be me. Yeah, no, that's mine. That's
Would
me.
you?
No.
Oh.
The girl that fist bumped me, I saw her the other day. And I was like,
fist bump her back.
Oh!
Returning the favor.
ooh.
That's crazy. No, I cannot face. Well, I guess to close it off,
Okay.
do you guys have any advice regarding hooking up, situationships, etc., like navigating that?
Just be safe.
Real.
It's crazy out there.
Both physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Protect your peace.
No, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, know your own boundaries. Don't let anyone push your boundaries and force you into anything you don't want to. Avoid situationships.
That's a no.
Oh my god.
Communicate. Cons.
Communication.
Communication is key. You know your boundaries, like they were saying, like, and communicate that with your partner, regardless of, like, if you guys are in a relationship or, like, just casually hooking up. It doesn't hurt to just talk to them. And if you can't talk to them, run. I think that's a red flag.
Not run.
Period. Yeah.
That's true.
Right? Yeah.
I think it's kind of, like, weird how taboo it is, like, to talk about, like, your boundaries with people. Like, some people find it so weird or, like, too soon, but I'm like, that should be, like, one of the first
thing you talk
conversations you talk
about.
about with someone.
Yeah.
And I think the advice that I would agree on that someone that interviewed said is that, like, you really have to trust your gut, and, like, there are people who are trying to explore themselves, but there are also people who are trying to exploit the people who are trying to explore themselves. So you have to, like, trust your gut, trust the friends around you when they're saying things, but also at the same time, like, don't be scared to try new things, because, like, college is a part of that experience. As long as you're being safe, smart about it, then, like, you know, it's like this is your chance to do things, like, without worrying about, like, working, like, you know, like, actually, like, careers and stuff. So I think you have to do all of that while also, like, maintaining your self-respect and, like, keeping your boundaries in check and, like, not doing things based off other people's advice or pressure. Yeah.
But also do it if you want. You
That's
know
what I'm
what I'm
saying.
saying?
Yeah, no, fully.
Like, it's not, like, a bad thing.
No.
Just,
Yeah.
like, be safe and be smart about it,
Mhm.
you know?
And you know what? If anything, you will learn your lesson.
You'll
learn
now.
No, literally.
You live, you learn.
Literally.
Exactly.
Learning from mistakes. Too many mistakes. It's okay though. It's okay. I feel like even if like we uploaded all of it, she would.
I was gonna say unedited. Honestly, I think she would love it.
Unedited is
Right,
crazy.
Professor Duan? Right.
I loved your class. I just loved your class so much. It was so fun. I learned so much about like life, but
About
like
yourself.
life, but like academic life.
Yeah.
That's like it was crazy to me. I'm like, I didn't know like people like study this stuff. That's crazy. Okay, comms 8.
So fun. Yeah, no.
Comms minor. No.
She's gonna get your ass. Wait for an email from her.
That's so silly.
Okay, how should we close this?
For tuning in.
See
See
you
you next week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.